since we are talking from Fiji Islands, that how Karma Yoga is so essential for everyone in the world in general, but more so for people who work in organizations like ours, where selflessness is not an option, where desirelessness is not a choice. It is a must. Everybody must be selfless in their activities, and everybody must do it absolutely with no expectations, no desires for anything whatsoever, not even the desire for success or failure. The surgeries are going on. Let us say the doctor is performing surgery. They've done everything that is possible in their might, whatever they understand of it. But it may happen or that there could be surprises in the last moment. And there may be chances that the surgeries may succeed or may fail. But when we keep thinking about whether we will succeed or fail, we cannot give our best, because our expectations of the outcome disturbs our equanimity. So that is the idea of Karma Yoga, that how we have to do everything without expectations of the results in a certain way. Whatever comes is acceptable to us. So there is no expectation, there is acceptance in Karma Yoga. Anyways, I'll summarize quickly what we have studied so far, because it's been a long time and we should brush up our memory about the Bhagavad Gita. So you all know there is this Arjuna who goes to the battlefield all ready to fight a battle. And all of a sudden, when he sees his kith and kin on the other side, especially his beloved grandfather, teachers, cousins whom he likes, he loses his sense of discrimination, becomes despondent. He wants to escape from the duty of fighting the battle, and he wants to go back. And he tells Krishna, let's turn the chariot. I don't think I can fight the war. Let's go back. Krishna was just a charioteer at that point in time. And Arjuna could command him, take my chariot to the middle of the battleground. And also he could command him, take my chariot back. I don't want to fight the battle. But Krishna performs a duty more than that of a charioteer. That's compassion of Krishna. To be a charioteer is also an act of compassion. And now to decide to be a teacher of Arjuna is also an act of compassion. So God performs many roles at many times for the sake of his devotee. He becomes a father to somebody, mother to another, friend to another, teacher to another, even a charioteer or a driver to his own devotee. He can do many roles for the sake of what? Why should God do all these things? This chapter 4 that we are going to come to, God defines, God tells us the reason why he does all these things that he chooses to do. So anyway, the first chapter happens. Arjuna is all lost, confused, and in a way sad and sick of his own thinking, of his own disposition, that he is not able to make up his mind. And so in the whole of the first chapter, he just expresses himself. And in the second chapter is when Krishna speaks for the first time. Patient listener Krishna is. A teacher has to be a patient listener first, and then only teach. After diagnosing the patient, only we can give some prescription. So Krishna listens to Arjuna and then tells, what is this? What is wrong with you, Arjuna? What has come over you? Why do you want to do this? And then he goes on to explain. Arjuna tells, okay, I don't know what to do. And first time Arjuna says, consider me as your Shishya, because I'm so confused. Don't think I'm your cousin. Don't think I'm a disciple or devotee, or don't think I'm your friend. I'm your disciple at this moment. Please teach me. So unless the disciple submits himself to the teacher, how can teacher teach? If patient does not come to the doctor, how will the doctor treat the patient? So Krishna creates the situation in which Arjuna finds himself helpless, and the only option that he is left with is to ask Krishna what to do. And when he asks with sincerity, Krishna responds. And then he gives him several reasons why he should still fight the battle. He tells him, see, nobody dies and nobody is born. We are Atman, we are not this body. Body undergoes changes, Atman remains. And there was never a time when you and I were not there, or all these people were not there. There will never be a time when we won't be there in some form and name, in another place, doing another thing. So just don't bother about it. Go ahead and fight. He tells, even if you think Atman does not exist, we are indestructible. Anyways, we are going to die someday or the other. So as well you die today fighting the battle, which is an honorable thing to do for a Kshatriya, than to run away from the battlefield like a coward. Even if you don't understand that, because you are born Kshatriya, for the sake of your good name, fight. Otherwise people will laugh at you, and for generations together they will make a mockery of you. So Sankhya Yoga, analytical knowledge. Krishna is analyzing the situation and giving him various logic and reasoning to convince him to fight the battle. And also at that point in time, Krishna in the second chapter, which is kind of an essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Second chapter is so important, though it's called Sankhya Yoga. It is actually the entire Bhagavad Gita's summary. So that in that chapter, he also teaches him about Buddhi Yoga. He says, I'm going to teach you something about Buddhi Yoga. The first half is Sankhya Yoga and second half is Buddhi Yoga. What is this Buddhi Yoga? Buddhi Yoga simply means use your brains, use your intelligence. Don't simply do things out of emotions and attachments. Use some discrimination. That is Buddhi Yoga. And he teaches him at that point of time, for the first time, he talks about karma. What does he say? The first shloka that he ever mentions about karma is Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalahetu bhu ma te sangostu akarmani. Your duty is only to perform actions, Arjuna, and not to worry about the results that are going to come out of it, whether those people will die, whether your people will die, whether you yourself will die in this battle. This is all secondary. This is not to be considered. First, think that you have to do your duty. This is a karma bhumi. No, we can't escape action. We have to perform our duty. So go ahead and discharge your duty as a Kshatriya, whose job is not just to save his family or fight for his own rights. He has to fight for the good of the whole society. Kshatriya's job is to protect everyone. So go ahead and fight this battle of dharma. So he first lesson in karma that Krishna teaches is do your duty without desires for the actions. You have no right over the results. You have only right over the action. This is the first principle of Karma Yoga he teaches. So what should you, just because we tell you don't be desirous of the fruits of the actions, it does not mean that you say that, okay, then I don't want to fight at war at all, because when you do tell me not to expect anything out of it, why should I fight? Krishna says, don't be attached to the action, don't be attached to inaction also. Just do action for duty's sake. That is the first principle of Karma Yoga Krishna teaches in the second chapter. The second principle he teaches in Karma Yoga is Yogastat Kuru Karmani Sangam Tat Tyaktva Dhananjaya Siddha Siddhayo Samobhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Now he takes from karma, the principle of karma, he takes into Karma Yoga principle. The first principle, Karmanyevadikaraste, is karma principle. How should you perform an action? Do action for action's sake, not for the sake of result. Don't be attached to action, don't be attached to inaction also. Just do your duty. Next he tells, but when you do this duty with the right attitude, it becomes yoga, karma yoga. What is yoga? Yoga is that which kind of yokes you to something. Yuj is the dhatu from which yoga word has emerged. To yoke something to something else, to merge, to join. This is the idea of yoga. So when our individual intelligence joins the divine intelligence, we become, as in Kathopanishad, it says, Mahati Atmani, Jnana Atmani. We rise beyond our Jnana Atmani and it goes and becomes the Shanta Atmani. That is the principle. The individual intelligence merges in the divine intelligence. That is yoga. Then you don't act. The divine acts through you. You only become an instrument, a puppet in the hand of divine. So that is the idea it tells you. Yogastha Kuru Karmani. Establish yourself in this idea of yoga and then do your action. How should you? Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya, without having any attachment either to action or the results. That is yoga. Without attachment to action or its results. Earlier shloka, without attachment to action or inaction. Now without attachment to action, inaction or the results, whatever comes out of it. And siddha asiddha samobhutva. Whether something positive comes out of it, you succeed or you fail, take both as equal. Why? Because equanimity is true yoga. See, if after doing an action we are unable to be equanimous, during the action we are unable to be equanimous, and before the action we are unable to equanimous, that action is not a yoga, it's only karma which will have karma bandhanas later. So I always tell people, before undertaking an action, during the action and after the action, your state of mind should be same. So your state of body may be different. It is working, then it is resting or whatever. But your state of mind should be the same. Before taking up an action, during the performance of the action and after the end of the action. Your equanimity should not get disturbed. That is the measure, that is the principle or parameter to understand whether you have become a karma yogi or you are still doing karma. You remain unchanged throughout the process of performing the action, right from the initiation till its completion. You are not affected. So that is what is karma yoga. It's swamatvam yoga uchyate. That equanimity is true yoga, and that equanimity born out of right kind of action with the right attitude is yoga, karma yoga. And therefore, using the same principle in another third shloka, there he says, Buddhi yukto jahatiya ubhe sukruta dushkrute. Now use this buddhi, discrimination, that when I perform the action, am I getting disturbed by it? Disturbed by the desire for the results? Disturbed by the anxiety that will come out of it, that whether I will succeed or not? Am I getting disturbed? If I'm getting disturbed, then I'm not performing it karma yoga way. I'm getting, my equanimity is lost. So finally he concludes, Krishna tells Arjuna, you have to perform your duty, no doubt about it, but buddhi, use this discrimination and then perform. Whether it is good or bad, later. Ubhe sukruta duskrute. Give up both the ideas of right, wrong, good, bad, positive, negative, success, failure, dualities. Give up. Just use your discrimination and think whether what I'm doing is in the right way or not. That you use. And he says that Tasmat yoga yujyasya. With this idea of yoga, go and fight the battle. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Because only then you can perform this action with perfection. The moment you have desire or attachment, I want to do, I don't want to do, or I want this result out of it, I don't want that result out of this particular action, you can't perform the action to the very best of your abilities because you get attached, your mind gets disturbed, and you can't give you 100%. You try it out anyway. You try it out when you have any little desire or any anxiety, you can't give your 100%. Your 100% perfection in action comes only out of equanimity. When your mind is absolutely in the state of equanimity, you give your 100% there. Why these great people are great? Because they merged their mind in the divine mind by constant practice of devotion, surrender, or whichever way. And therefore, whatever they do is done by the divine. And so it's always perfect. It's never an imperfect action by a divine person. I keep listening to the songs sung by these bhajan boys. And I hear the songs of great devotees, Purandardasa, Tukaram, Mirabai. And I think, what beauty of that devotion in those expressions. It's not human. Let's go back to our Fiji hospital for a small deviation. Anybody who comes there and says, this is not human. I was telling how complicated things can get. I tell them to build a hospital, not a clinic. Then I tell them to build a tertiary care hospital, not some secondary or primary health center. I tell them to do cardiac tertiary care hospital, not some orthopedic or ENT or ophthalmology. And I tell them in cardiac, do pediatric cardiac care hospital, the smallest hearts you have to mend and repair. In a place where there are no pediatric cardiac surgeons, forget cardiac surgeons only are not there, and pediatric cardiac surgeons. Around this country, there is only sea, ocean, nothing. And then I tell them, pediatric cardiac hospital to be built in Fiji Islands, as I say, no, nothing. And that too during COVID times. You have to get people, money, material, methods, everything has to be borrowed from elsewhere. And the borders are closed. The one who comes in cannot go out. The one who goes out cannot come in. And they build the hospital. And it opens. And surgeries are going on. You think this is human? Unless you surrender your entire will to the divine will, saying, not me, you, it's not going to happen. Nobody does it. And most of all, this is absolutely free of cost. Can you imagine the levels of challenges that were thrown at them, and they accepted it and delivered? This is karma yoga. Because the surrender allowed this to happen, the divine will to flow and perfection happen. And this is one of the best facilities in the world that we have built, at least that I know of or I have seen. It's beautiful, aesthetically, functionally, it's as needed, appropriate, state of the art. And it's so timely. Within the allotted time, it was all done. This is karma yoga only. Everybody sat here and did what was supposed to be done, and today it's ready. This is karma yoga because they did not think this hospital will succeed, not succeed. They just took Karishi Vachanam Tava, whatever you said, we will do. I know there are challenges, and they went through several challenges. As you know, he's a singer, he's not a pediatric cardiac surgeon, not even a doctor, not even remotely associated with hospitals, except that his wife is a doctor. But he had no idea. But they all worked together. The whole family, whole group worked together. The entire Sai Prema Foundation worked together. World came together to help them and to their hospital. This is possible as a divine grace only. See, these are all divine acts, but they are acted out through human beings, using them as instruments. This is karma yoga. That person who becomes an instrument of divine is a karma yogi. Instrumentation is karma yoga, and this is what we are now going to step into in the fourth chapter. So third chapter, as I said, the second chapter gets over with these ideas of karma yoga, and then it takes us to the third chapter. And third chapter, as Arjuna starts with again another confusion, he is the questioning kind of a disciple, which is good because that's when they learn, when you question. And Krishna is a very encouraging teacher. So since he also learnt about Sita Prajnas, those who are equanimous, samatvam yoga muchyate, and they are not affected by anything. There is nothing done by them. They are not affected by the results. So Arjuna is confused. Do such people exist? He has Krishna in front of him, but he cannot recognize. Spiritual myopia. So he is unable to see. But he is asking, are there such people in the world who can be like this, who can do all the action and not bothered about the results? And Krishna, being self-effacing, he doesn't say, hey, Arjuna, look at me. I'm here right in front of you, live example. Because Arjuna thinks of him as a friend, It's very difficult to convince your friends. You can never imagine a friend to become God. So that is the problem that Krishna and Arjuna had. Nevertheless, Arjuna asks, one side you tell me, Jnanis are better. Other side you tell you go and fight the battle. I'm confused. You tell me what am I supposed to do? You tell me to do battle, then you tell Jnanis are better than fighters or action performers of action. So what do I do? So he talks about Jnana, he talks about karma. And then Krishna says, oh Arjuna, hold on. Both exist in this world. Lokesmin dvividha nishtha pura prokta mayanagaha yana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. The both kind of people exist based on their aptitudes. One who take the path of jnana, wisdom, they meditate, they contemplate, they analyze, and then they realize the truth. Other side are those who perform actions without any expectations of result, and they also attain the same. He says both paths exist. And now he starts to tell them that there is a synthesis of these two paths. They are not separate from each other, but for the time being, he elaborates more on the karma yoga part in the third chapter of karma yoga. And there Krishna goes on to say, see, nobody can escape action in this world. Everybody has to perform actions. At least for their own survival, they have to perform action, if not for attaining some higher things. So he says that nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karmakrit. All those who are born cannot even for a moment stay without performing action. You say, no, I was sleeping. No, your sleeping is also an action. Till there is ego in you, you are the performer of the action. When there is no ego only, there is no action that is associated with you. Beautifully Ashtavakra says, Yasyantah syad ahankaro na karoti saha nirahankara dhirena na kinchid akritam pratam. Beautifully he says, the one who has no ego inside, whatever he does not do it. And the one who has ego, even if he does not do it, he does it. Because his ego identifies with the work. So I am sleeping, that's a work born out of your tamoguna. That time the tamas is driving you. So that Krishna explains that nobody can escape action. So because action is so crucial and central to living on this earth, so we must know the science of action. The art and science of performing action is a must. If you don't know, we will do it all wrong and then end up in a mess. Then you have Kanjama Chakra Punarjanma. Sanatana Dharma has these two principles of karma and Punarjanma. You are born, then you perform actions. Because of actions, you are born again. Because you are born again, you perform actions. The chicken and the egg story. It goes on and on and on. One leads to another. You are never-ending issues. So the only escape is you know how to perform actions correctly so that you are not born again. That is the idea of karma yoga. So crucial to this. So then he says that, see, we all perform yoga karma, but let us perform with the right attitude, What is the attitude is of offering, a yajna. He says there are gods who blesses Ishtan Bhogani Godeva, Dasyanta Yajna Bhavita. When you offer something to somebody, to the divine, to gods as yajna. Yajna is a kind of sacrifice. No, you don't have any desire for yourself. That yajna, when you do, you perform to gods. The gods bless you with whatever you require. And that is how you can continue living in this world, doing good and not get attached to the actions and results. But if you don't offer to God, you consume it for your selfish sake, you do everything for your selfish sake, then you are a thief. He says, you are a thief. And that is why he says you have to offer everything to God. That is the first step of Karma Yoga. I am doing something. I can't imagine I am not the doer, I am the Atman and all that. Minimum you do is Krishna Paramastu. It's it's for your sake I do. For whose sake do you study? I ask the students. To get the highest marks and then get a gold medal and then join some Ivy League university somewhere and then become some big shot somewhere? Or is it because the skills, knowledge, abilities that you develop will help somebody, will better the lives of some other people? Money and the salary and name, fame will follow. That's the shadow. When you want the coconut on the tree, you climb the tree. When you get the coconut, you get the shadow also. So these are shadows of the original idea why you perform action. For the sake of Loka Sangraha, it is the concept. Krishna teaches, I have no role, no duties whatsoever. I don't have any duty whatsoever. Still, I work all the time. Incessantly, I am engaged in action. For what sake? For the sake of Loka Sangraha only. For the betterment of others, not for my own sake. And he gives example like Janaka and all have done that for Loka Sangraha. And this is how you will be able to attain the higher truth. And if you don't do good actions, you don't set good example for others, then society will be ruined because we need good examples. And for that sake, you must perform action. You are a Kshatriya, you run away from battlefield. It's a bad example. And somebody asked me, what is the best seva I can do? I told them, just be a good example. Be an example to others. That's the best seva you can be. And who is the best example? Who is Atmanyeva Atmana Tushta Sthita Prajna? The one who is satisfied within himself and is a Sthita Prajna. His intelligence, his equanimity is always there, steady. He's the best example. He can perform all the actions but remain steady and equanimous. So that kind of example you become. He said, Yadjira Chariti Shrestha Tatat Deve Tarojana. Because as noble people perform actions and do set examples, the other people follow them. So society needs good examples. See, today we don't need big policies, we don't need sanctions, we don't need any other rules, regulations, law and order. We just need good examples to inspire others to perform similar actions. Krishna works for the sake of the betterment of the society, to give a good example, set a good example, and he is encouraging Arjuna also to do so. That's all is your role. You are a singer, be a good singer. A devoted singer will inspire devotion in the hearts of listeners. If you're a good teacher, be a good, very good teacher who inspires students to attain wisdom, and that knowledge will help them to help others. Anything, you're a policeman, be a good policeman. You're a doctor, be a good doctor. Do everything for the sake of setting an example for others. That is the idea of Karma Yoga too. So he says only those people, all others, who are performing actions in a way other than this. That is, they are performing with the idea of results. They're performing with a selfish motive, not offering it to God. Or they are performing not for the betterment of the society, but for their own betterment of their own selves. All those people are bound by actions, and their reactions will be sooner or later experienced by them. But only those people, Atmanyeva Santushtasya Tasya Karyam Na Vidyate, the one who is satisfied within oneself, established in the self, that I am divine. For such a person, no action occurs. So, do you mean they are always sitting quiet and doing nothing? No, they are super busy. But they are not doing anything. Everything is being done through them. Because the divine does everything for them. They are just instruments, expressions of divinity. That happens through them. They don't perform. And then he goes on to say that all the actions in the world are performed by the gunas. Prakrite kriyamanani gudani karmani sarvashaha. Ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. Foolish people think I am doing the action. But truth is that the action is being performed out of the guna. Guna are the basic qualities that we are born with, which have accumulated in us over several births and associations and work. You think of it. There are surgeons. 4 surgeries a day. Each surgery takes 2 to 3 hours. It means they have worked for 10 to 12 hours continuously in such an intense way. Even if I tell you to watch 12 hours of an entertaining cinema, you can't watch. You'll feel, even though sitting with popcorn and whatever else, you will get bored and tired after some time. 12 hours standing on their 2 feet and performing surgery, that's such an intense thing. Yesterday, a surgery threw up some surprises also. They didn't expect some other complications. Nevertheless, they went for it and they finished the surgery successfully. How can a surgeon stand for 12 hours? Then I asked our Dr. Sean, who is the surgeon. Dr. Sean, he's another karma yogi by himself. So I asked him, hope you're getting some rest. He simply said, it's your energy. You give us the energy. She is not attributing, yes, I have, what, I have done so many surgeries. This is a left hand work for me. There is nothing big about it. I can do 8 surgeries. Never said like that. He simply said, your energy works through me. Your energy means not physically my energy, the divine energy that permeates everything. Ishavasam, idam sarvam. That energy of the divine works through me. He is instrument, he is karma yogi. So when the action happens like this, when he attributes it to the divine, the results also should be attributed to the divine. So success will also be attributed to the divine, and in case there is a failure, that also goes to the divine. That is the idea of karma yoga. See, we are seeing people around us doing it right in front of our eyes. So that is what he tells, and he says that you understand that we are all born with certain gunas, and your guna is Kshatriya. Means you are a warrior clan, you are born as a warrior. You can't escape. That's why Ramakrishna Paramsa tells Vivekananda. Vivekananda goes to Ramakrishna and says, please bless me with that one more kick you give me. I want to experience that bliss. So Ramakrishna laughs and says, no, I'm not going to do that. You are being very selfish. He says, no, but this is the ultimate. I don't want to anything else. I just want to experience that Brahman's bliss. He says, nothing doing. You have to go around the world and give talks about Vedanta. Vivekananda says, no way, I'm not doing that. And Ramakrishna says, your bones will also speak. What do you say that you don't want to do? Even your bones will speak, he says. And true to his words, it happens. Because the guna is there. It won't allow. If I have sattva guna, it compels me to do good to the society. If I have rajoguna, it compels me to be involved in tremendous action and passion. If I am tamoguna, heavy in my qualities, then I'll always be lazy and lethargic. Do what you want, but I won't move around. So these are we all have balance of this, so we live our life. We need tamoguna for sleeping, we need rajoguna for action, and sattva for seva and spirituality. When there's a combination, everything is fine. But the moment the combination gets disturbed and one powers the other, then there is a disturbance in our action. So he says, understand the concept of gunas. Your guna is Kshatriya guna. You'll have to perform this action. And he says, it's better you perform the action. Swadharme nidhanam shreyam paradharmo bhayavaha. It's better to you act like Kshatriya because you're born as Kshatriya. It's better you do your duty than to act like a sage. Oh, I want jnana. I don't want this battle. Because you actually don't mean it. Your gunas won't permit you. Just go ahead and do this, he tells them. And then he asks, why people knowing all these things commit sins? He says, Rajoguna is the reason for people to commit sins. It is selfish. See, Tamoguna people find it difficult to commit sins because they're so lazy, they can't commit sin also. Out of laziness. Who will go and hit him? Forget, let's not fight. Too much work. Sattva people will give why fight. Rajoguna must fight. So Rajoguna are the people who are Ragadvesha people who always are busy. So but Krishna says, he has all these weaknesses are there in us. Indriyas are there, mana is there, buddhi is there, and Atma is there. Indriyani paranyahu manaha. Above mana is buddhi. Above buddhi is Atman. Invoke the power of Atman within you. It is, don't go by your senses and mind. They will take you this way. They are like highway robbers. They will steal away your discrimination. Don't even use your intelligence because it may be limited. Invoke the Atman within you. Invoke the divine and let the divine act through you. That's how you should perform your action. Karma yoga means you let your mind merge into the divine consciousness, that the divine consciousness flow through you. Like our Dr. Sean said, your energy is working through me. You ask me personally, do we know how to do surgery? No. Then what does he mean by I working through him? It is the same divine supreme consciousness which is working through him, is what he's saying.